The massive alien ship appeared over New York without warning. It hung in the air like a silver needle, reflecting the morning sun and casting long shadows over the bustling city below. Within minutes, every screen on Earth showed the same image. A tall, gray-skinned being with large eyes standing before what appeared to be a Grand Council chamber. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice echoing through millions of devices worldwide. "I am High Counselor Gray of the Galactic Council. We have watched your species for centuries, and we have decided it is time to welcome you into our civilization." In the United Nations Emergency Session Chamber, world leaders sat in stunned silence. The alien's message continued, but its welcoming tone carried an unmistakable edge. "You will, of course, need to adjust your societies to meet Council standards. All technological development will be supervised. Your military forces will be integrated into our peacekeeping fleet. Your resources will be managed according to Council regulations." High Counselor Gray's thin lips curved into what might have been a smile. "This is a great honor. No species has ever rejected Council membership." President Clark stood at the UN podium, her gray hair neatly pulled back, her expression stern. The weight of humanity's future rested on the next few moments. The emergency session had lasted 18 hours, but the vote had been surprisingly unanimous. High Counselor Gray, she spoke clearly into the communication device provided by the Council. "On behalf of Earth's United Nations, I must decline your offer." The silence that followed was deafening. In the Council chamber, visible through the transmission, several alien delegates dropped their data tablets. Gray's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Perhaps I was unclear," Gray said, voice straining to maintain its diplomatic tone. "The Council is offering you protection, advancement, and membership in the largest civilization in known space. Rejection is unprecedented." President Clark's voice remained steady. "We understand your offer perfectly, High Counselor. We also understand its implications. Humanity has fought too long and too hard for its independence to surrender it now, even for the promise of advancement. You would choose isolation over progress." Gray's composure cracked slightly, revealing genuine confusion. "In 10,000 years, no species has ever." "Then perhaps it's time someone did," Clark interrupted. "Humanity appreciates the Council's offer, but we will find our own path among the stars. We are willing to establish diplomatic relations, trade agreements, and cultural exchange programs as equals. However, we will not submit to external control." The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates from 100 worlds spoke all at once in their native tongues, their universal translators creating a cacophony of shocked responses. Gray raised a hand for silence, but for the first time in centuries, the Council members ignored the gesture. In the UN chamber, General Thompson leaned toward President Clark. "Ma'am, their ship is powering up some kind of energy weapon." Clark nodded calmly. "Activate the shield." Outside, a shimmer appeared in the air around New York as humanity revealed its first technological surprise. The Council ship's scan bounced harmlessly off an energy field, unlike anything they had encountered before. "This is your final chance," Gray announced, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "Accept our guidance, or face isolation from galactic civilization." President Clark stood straighter. "High Counselor, humanity faced isolation on Earth for all of its history. We explored our oceans, conquered our skies, and reached for the stars while believing we were alone in the universe. If you force us to face isolation again, we will do what we have always done. We will thrive." The Council ship hung in the air for several more minutes before slowly ascending. As it disappeared into the clouds, President Clark turned to her advisors. "They'll be back," she said quietly. "And we need to be ready. Humanity has made its choice. Now we need to prove it was the right one." Around the world, humans looked up at the sky with a mixture of fear and determination. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a species had defied the Council. Whether this marked the beginning of humanity's greatest triumph or its greatest mistake remained to be seen. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. 3 months after Earth's Defiance, the Galactic Council sent their most advanced research vessel to study human technology. The ship, twice the size of the largest human spacecraft, positioned itself just beyond Mars' orbit. Its crew was certain they would find a primitive civilization far behind Council standards. They were wrong. Captain Smith stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force ship Invictus, watching the Council vessel through the main viewport. His ship was smaller, less impressive looking, but appearances could be deceiving. "They're scanning us again," his sensor officer reported. "7th time in the last hour." Smith smiled. "Let them look. They won't understand what they're seeing anyway." The Council ship's chief scientist, Master Researcher Vale, was growing frustrated. His scans showed energy readings that shouldn't be possible with what he assumed was primitive human technology. Their power signatures didn't match any known patterns in the Council's vast database. "Impossible," Vale muttered, adjusting his instruments again. "Their energy output is off the charts, but I can't identify their power source." The truth was simple, but beyond Vale's understanding. While the Council had spent millennia perfecting crystal-based energy systems, humanity had taken a completely different path. Earth's quantum fusion reactors, developed through necessity and innovation, worked on principles the Council had never considered. A message from Earth interrupted Vale's scans. "Council vessel, this is Captain Smith of the EDF Invictus. We're conducting test flights in this sector. Would you care to observe?" Before Vale could respond, the human ship disappeared from his sensors. Then it reappeared, directly behind the Council vessel. "How?" Vale's question was cut short as his ship's systems began shutting down one by one. Emergency lights flashed as unknown code raced through their computers. "Don't worry," Smith's voice came through their speakers, somehow bypassing their communications lockdown. "We're just giving you a little demonstration. Your systems will restore in 5 minutes." In the Council ship's command center, Vale watched helplessly as technical readouts of his own vessel appeared on his screens. Detailed scans of every system, every weakness, every potential flaw scrolled past. "Quantum computing," Smith explained casually. "While you perfected AI, we took a different route. Our systems don't think. They simply process possibilities faster than your computers can exist." The Council ship hung powerless in space as Smith continued his lecture. "You see, Master Researcher Vale, humanity didn't develop along your carefully planned technological path. We had to solve our problems our own way. No guidelines, no restrictions, no limitations except the laws of physics themselves." Vale found his voice. "But your species is barely space-capable. You haven't even colonized your own solar system." "Because we chose to perfect our technology before expanding," Smith replied. "Quality over quantity, you might say. Each human ship may be small, but I bet you're realizing now just how advanced they really are." Right on schedule, the Council ship's systems came back online. Vale's crew rushed to restore their defensive screens, but the damage to their pride was already done. "We'll be sending this demonstration to your Council," Smith said, along with a message. "Humanity doesn't need your guidance. We've done quite well on our own." The Invictus disappeared again, this time reappearing near Earth. In the Council ship's command center, Vale stared at his readings in disbelief. The humans hadn't just matched some of the Council's technology. They'd surpassed it in ways he hadn't thought possible. Back on Earth, President Clark reviewed Captain Smith's report with satisfaction. "Send the recording to every Council world," she ordered. "Let them see what independent development can achieve." As Vale's ship limped back to Council space, a new reality was settling in across the galaxy. Humanity wasn't just defiant. They were powerful in their own unique way. And for the first time in thousands of years, the Council faced a species that could match them technologically without ever following their rules. The age of Council technological supremacy was over. The time of innovation had begun. The Galactic Council's next move came not with warships, but with trade restrictions. They announced a complete ban on all commerce with Earth, expecting the young civilization to quickly realize its mistake. But once again, humanity had other plans. Trade Director Wilson stood before the massive holographic display in Earth's Economic Command Center, watching the movement of thousands of ships across the galaxy. Most were marked in red, Council-controlled trade routes. But a growing number glowed green, representing Earth's new independent network. They thought they could starve us out, Wilson said to his team. Instead, they showed us every independent world hungry for change. The Council's trade ban had revealed something unexpected. Dozens of species that existed on the edges of Council space, technically free, but economically trapped. These were the civilizations that hadn't quite met Council standards or had chosen partial independence. For centuries, they had quietly accepted limited trade options, until now. Another request from the Blue Star Systems, an analyst reported. They want to double their shipping contracts with us. Wilson nodded. Approve it. And send them the plans for our new cargo shielding technology. Free of charge. This was humanity's secret weapon in the economic war. While the Council charged heavily for every piece of technology, Earth shared innovations freely with its trading partners. Each gift created not just an ally, but a partner invested in humanity's success. In her office at Council headquarters, Trade Minister Lane received the latest reports with growing alarm. Earth's trade network had grown 300% in just 2 months. Worse, their methods were spreading. They're undermining 10,000 years of economic policy. She complained to High Counselor Gray. These independent trade routes are appearing faster than we can track them. Gray studied the data with concern. How are they managing their network without our infrastructure? That's the problem, Lane replied. They built their own. Those quantum computers they developed. They're using them to calculate safe flight paths through uncharted space. Routes our ships never even considered. On Earth, Wilson was meeting with representatives from a dozen non-Council worlds. The trading hall hummed with excited conversation in multiple languages as deals were made without Council oversight for the first time in centuries. Your Council told us humans would bring chaos, Wilson addressed the gathered delegates. Instead, we offer choice, fair trade, equal partnerships, the freedom to grow at your own pace. A delegate from a mining civilization spoke up. The Council says your methods are unsustainable, that your economy will collapse without their guidance. Wilson smiled and brought up a new hologram, Earth's latest trade projections. 6 months ago, they said we couldn't survive their ban. Now our network handles more trade in a day than they managed in a week. Judge us by our results, not their warnings. The evidence was hard to ignore. Earth's open trading policy had created something new in the galaxy, genuine free market competition. World after world began quietly shifting their trade to human routes, drawn by better terms and the promise of technological exchange. In Council space, the effects were becoming impossible to hide. Markets that had been stable for centuries showed the first signs of decline. Members began questioning the high tariffs and restricted trade that had been standard for millennia. We have to stop this, Lane insisted to Gray. Their economic model will spread to our core worlds if we don't act. But Gray had seen the latest reports. Earth's trade fleet now matched the Council's in efficiency, if not in size. Their routes were faster, their terms more favorable, their innovations freely shared. The economic weapon had backfired spectacularly. No, Gray said quietly. We don't stop it. We adapt to it. Because if we don't, humanity won't just survive our embargo. They'll replace us as the galaxy's economic center. The economic war had revealed a fundamental truth. In trying to isolate humanity, the Council had only succeeded in showing the galaxy a better way to trade. And no amount of regulations could stop that idea from spreading. The Council's massive peacekeeping fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Jupiter. 50 warships, each larger than anything humanity had built, arranged themselves in attack formation. Their message was clear: submit or face destruction. Admiral Jones watched from the bridge of her command ship near Mars, her weathered face showing no sign of concern. Around her, Earth's defense fleet seemed tiny in comparison. Just 20 ships, mostly converted mining vessels and cargo haulers. Enemy fleet is broadcasting their demands, her communications officer reported. They're offering one last chance for surrender. Jones kept her eyes on the tactical display. Send them our response. Come and get us. The Council Fleet's commander, War Leader Rex, laughed when he received the message. They're either brave or insane, he told his bridge crew. 20 ships against our armada. This will be over quickly. His flagship led the attack, energy weapons charging. But as his fleet approached Mars orbit, something strange happened. His sensors began showing hundreds of small objects moving among the asteroids. Mining debris, his sensor officer reported confidently. Nothing to worry about. Jones smiled as she watched the Council fleet advance. They still haven't figured it out. Launch the drones. Suddenly, the mining debris came to life. Thousands of automated drones, each barely larger than a shuttle, swarmed toward the Council fleet. They had been disguised as ordinary space rocks, waiting in ambush. Evasive action, Rex shouted, but it was too late. The drones weren't attacking with conventional weapons. Instead, they attached themselves to the Council ships' hulls and began drilling, using mining lasers modified for combat. Brilliant, one of Rex's officers muttered. They turned their mining equipment into weapons we never trained to fight against. The Council's mighty warships found themselves swarmed by machines designed to cut through rock and metal. Their energy shields, calibrated to stop military weapons, couldn't properly deflect the mining lasers' different frequencies. But that was just the first surprise. As Rex ordered his fleet to fall back, Earth's civilian ships moved forward. The converted cargo haulers opened their holds, revealing not cargo but ranks of missile launchers. The mining ships activated electromagnetic harpoons designed to pull in asteroids, now repurposed to grab and redirect Council vessels. This isn't a battle, Rex realized with horror. It's a trap. They lured us in with a weak fleet because they knew we'd underestimate them. Jones watched with satisfaction as the Council fleet's formation broke apart. Activate Phase 3, she ordered. The space around the Council fleet lit up as hundreds of quantum mines detonated. These weren't simple explosives. They were based on humanity's unique quantum technology, creating localized fields that disrupted the Council ship's power systems. Impossible, Rex gasped as his flagship's engines failed. These are civilian vessels, mining ships, cargo haulers. How are they defeating our best warships? The answer was simple. Humanity had prepared for this moment. Unable to match the Council's massive military production, they had instead modified their civilian technology for war. Every mining tool became a weapon. Every cargo hold concealed surprises. Every piece of debris could be a drone in disguise. In less than an hour, the mighty Council fleet was in ruins. No ships were destroyed. Humanity had been careful about that, but none could fight or flee. They hung in space, powerless and humiliated. Jones opened a channel to Rex's ship. We could destroy your vessels, she said calmly. Instead, we'll let you limp home. Tell your Council this. Humanity doesn't want war, but we will not submit. Next time, we won't be so merciful. As rescue ships from Earth moved in to assist the crippled Council fleet, the galaxy learned another lesson about humanity. They didn't need the biggest guns or the most ships. They just needed creativity, determination, and the willingness to use every tool in unexpected ways. The Council's military advantage, like their technological and economic power, had just been proven meaningless against human ingenuity. The Council's main chamber had never been so chaotic. Thousands of delegates from member worlds filled the vast room, their angry voices echoing off the crystal walls. News of the military defeat had spread quickly, and with it, centuries of quiet doubts began to surface. Ambassador White stood calmly at the speaker's podium, her white hair and simple Earth uniform standing out among the elaborate robes of the council members. She had requested this emergency session, and now every eye in the chamber watched her. "The council claims to unite us," she began, her voice carrying across the chamber. "But tell me, fellow delegates, do you feel united, or do you feel controlled?" High Counselor Gray tried to interrupt. "This is not the proper forum for—" "It is exactly the proper forum," White continued, stronger now. "For 10,000 years, you've told us all there was only one path to advancement, one way to grow, one system to follow. Humanity proved that wrong." In the upper rows, a delegate from a younger council world stood up. "The humans defeated our greatest fleet using modified mining equipment. Equipment we could have developed centuries ago if the council hadn't restricted our industrial growth." More voices joined in. A trade representative from the outer world spoke next. "Their free trade network has doubled our world's economy in 3 months. The council's restrictions kept us poor for generations." Gray watched helplessly as the chamber erupted in similar claims. World after world stood to share stories of progress denied, innovation suppressed, all in the name of following the council's ordained path. "Order," he shouted, but his voice was lost in the growing storm. Ambassador White raised her hands for quiet. "Humanity doesn't ask you to leave the council. We don't ask you to fight or rebel. We only ask you to look at what independence has given us. Free trade, technological innovation, the right to choose our own path." In the diplomatic section, Ambassador Green from one of the council's oldest member worlds slowly stood. "For 5,000 years, my people have served on the council's technology control board. Today, I resign that position. We were wrong to restrict progress in the name of stability." The declaration sent shockwaves through the chamber. One by one, other officials began announcing their resignations from various control boards and oversight committees. Each announcement was met with growing cheers. Gray turned to his advisors in panic. "Stop this. Activate the chamber's control systems. End this session." But the control systems didn't respond. On every screen in the chamber, a simple message appeared: "Control systems temporarily offline, courtesy of Earth's Quantum Computing Division." White smiled slightly. "You see, even now, you reach for control instead of understanding. That time is over." She pressed a button on her podium, and new images filled the chamber's screens. They showed Earth's ships helping the damaged council fleet, medical teams treating injured crew, supply ships providing aid. "Humanity beat your fleet, but we didn't destroy it. We opened new trade routes, but we didn't steal your worlds. We developed new technology, but we share it freely. We don't want to replace the council. We want to show you a better way." The chamber grew quiet as her words sank in. Centuries of built-up frustration mixed with new hope as world after world realized what humanity was offering. Not destruction, but freedom. Not chaos, but choice. In his command chair, Gray watched his life's work crumble. The council wouldn't fall today, but it would never be the same. Humanity had done more than resist. They had inspired others to question, to dream, to demand better. The political balance of the galaxy had shifted, and no amount of rules or regulations could shift it back. Commander Ross led her intelligence team through the dark corridors of the abandoned Council Research Station. The facility, hidden on a moon in neutral space, had been discovered by one of Earth's new trading partners. Its existence didn't appear in any official Council records. "Look at these servers," her tech expert said, shining a light on rows of ancient but still functioning computer systems. "They're completely isolated from the Council's main network. Whatever's here, they'd wanted it kept secret." Ross nodded, her expression grim. "Download everything. Let's find out what they were hiding." Back on Earth, the team worked day and night decoding the files. Each new discovery made their hearts sink deeper. The truth was worse than anyone had imagined. "President Clark needs to see this now," Ross said, gathering the most important files. "The whole galaxy needs to know." In the president's secure briefing room, Ross displayed the evidence on the main screen. The Council didn't just guide technological development, she explained. They actively suppressed it. Every time a member world came close to a breakthrough, the Council sabotaged their work. Clark studied the files with growing anger. Show me examples. Ross brought up case after case. The water world of Blue Haven had nearly discovered quantum computing 60 years ago, until a mysterious lab accident destroyed their research. The desert planet Sunhome was close to developing advanced solar technology, until Council advisors redirected their work. It gets worse, Ross continued. Remember how they told us their path was the only safe way to advance? Look at this. New files appeared, showing the Council's own secret research labs. They had developed and hidden technologies far beyond what they allowed their members to use. Weapons, power sources, medical breakthroughs, all kept locked away. They weren't protecting us, Clark realized. They were controlling us, keeping everyone dependent on them. Ross nodded. For 10,000 years, they've been playing every civilization against each other, giving them just enough technology to develop, but never enough to truly advance. Any world that got too close to real breakthroughs was quickly stopped. But they couldn't stop Earth, the president said slowly, because we never joined them, never gave them control. Exactly. We developed in ways they never expected because they couldn't sabotage our work. Our quantum computers, our fusion drives, our medical advances, we succeeded because we didn't follow their rules. Clark stood and walked to the window, looking out at the busy streets of New York below. How many worlds had their dreams crushed? How many discoveries were buried? How many lives were lost because the Council held back medical technology? The numbers are in the files, Ross said quietly. There. High. The president turned back, her face determined. Release everything. Every file, every secret, every hidden truth. Send it to every world, Council member or not. Let them all see what was stolen from them. The Council will try to deny it, Ross warned. They can try, but we have proof. Real, undeniable proof of their lies. And we have something else, living proof that their rules were wrong. Earth's success shows everyone what's possible without their control. Within hours, the files began spreading across the galaxy. The Council's desperate attempts to deny them only drew more attention to the truth. World after world discovered what they had lost, what had been taken from them. Ross watched the growing galactic reaction from her office. Messages poured in from hundreds of worlds, all saying the same thing. Help us break free. The Council's greatest fear, she said to her team, wasn't that humanity would fight them. It was that we would show others they didn't need to be afraid anymore. The truth was out. 10,000 years of control and suppression were ending. And humanity, the species that dared to say no, had lit the spark that would change everything. 1 year after the revelation of the Council's secrets, the Great Hall of Earth's United Nations building hosted an event that would reshape galactic history. Representatives from over 500 worlds gathered in New York, their ships filling Earth's orbit in a display of unity never before seen. President Clark stood at the central podium, with High Counselor Gray seated nearby. The once proud council leader looked tired, but there was something new in his expression. Acceptance, perhaps even hope. Today, Clark began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. We end an era of control and begin an age of cooperation. The Galactic Council as we knew it is no more. In its place, we established the Free Systems Alliance. The room erupted in applause. Above them, on massive screens, similar celebrations played out on hundreds of worlds. The new alliance was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Each world will choose its own path, Clark continued. Develop at its own pace. Trade freely with whoever they wish. The alliance will coordinate, not control. Assist, not restrict. Share knowledge, not suppress it. Gray stood slowly and walked to the podium. A year ago, he would have considered this moment a disaster. Now, he understood it was salvation. The council was wrong, he admitted, his words broadcast across the stars. We thought control meant stability. Instead, it brought stagnation. Humanity showed us a better way, not through conquest or dominance, but through freedom and cooperation. The changes were already visible. Worlds that had been technological backwaters for centuries were making breakthrough discoveries. Trade flowed freely through new routes, bringing prosperity to forgotten corners of the galaxy. Innovation, so long suppressed, flourished in the light of freedom. Captain Smith, now Admiral Smith, watched from his ship in orbit as hundreds of vessels from different worlds maneuvered in complex patterns, a dance of unity and celebration. "Remember when they thought we were primitive?" his first officer asked with a smile. "Now they understand," Smith replied. "True strength isn't about having the most advanced technology. It's about having the freedom to discover your own way forward." Back in the Great Hall, the formal signing began. Each world's representative added their mark to the Alliance Charter, not out of fear or coercion, but by choice. The document was simple but powerful: mutual defense, free trade, shared knowledge, and above all, respect for independence. President Clark and Gray signed last, their names marking the final transformation of galactic civilization. "This isn't just about humanity anymore," Clark said to Gray as they stood together afterward. "It's about every species that ever dreamed of something better." Gray nodded. "You know, we spent thousands of years afraid of what would happen if we lost control. We never imagined losing control would save us." Around them, delegates from hundreds of worlds mingled freely, sharing ideas and making plans. Former council worlds spoke as equals with independent systems. Technology was discussed openly, not hidden away in secret archives. Ambassador White, watching from the sidelines, turned to Commander Ross. "Did you ever think our defiance would lead to this?" Ross smiled. "Humans have always been good at surprising people, even ourselves." The celebration continued into the night, but the real work was just beginning. Across the galaxy, worlds were waking up to new possibilities. Research that had been banned for centuries resumed. Trade routes expanded. Cultural exchanges flourished. The age of the Council was over. The time of freedom had begun. And it all started because one species, young and defiant, dared to say no to control and yes to independence. Humanity had changed the galaxy not through superior force or technology, but by showing that there was always another way, a better way, a free way. And that perhaps was the greatest victory of all.